There's some wonderful product from Parm Crisp in the break room. Don't leave here without it. So, I'd like to welcome all of our visitors and some distinguished guests, including Jay Timmons, the CEO of the National Association of Manufacturers, David Taylor, the President of the Pennsylvania Manufacturing Association, Congressman Scott Perry, Congressman Dan Moiser, and Congressman Lloyd Smucker. Also, like to introduce or acknowledge the United States Secretary of Labor, Alex Acosta, is joining us. And, in case you haven't heard, Vice President Mike Pence. We are honored and humbled to have all of you here. I must acknowledge the blue shirts, which we use to honor our special guests. Holly usually sends me an email and says, "Is this a blue shirt day?" Didn't have to send that email today. So I think it's important on the 75th anniversary of D-Day that we thank our veterans. So I'd like to ask all JLS veterans, as well as all the veterans that are our guests today, to stand so that we can acknowledge you for serving this great country. Got one over here, it's pretty special to me. So, JLS was founded in 1955 by my father, Joseph L. Sauser. I'm never to tell that middle name, so I'm not going to. Since then, we've adapted, we've reinvented this business on multiple occasions. We've had to fit market opportunities as they were presented to us. And many times we saw markets fade away for a wide variety of reasons. Today, we see some of the world's most advanced robotic machines on our floor. Quite a change from the technologies and business models that I grew up with in the 50s and 60s and even 70s. We have had plenty of struggles and challenges over the years, oftentimes working just to survive. But today, we thrive. Our employment has tripled in the last few years. Why? Well, certainly, there's been a lot of hard work. We have some amazing folks here. We've also benefited from smart trade policies out of Washington, like pro-growth tax reform, and for us, a focus on North American trade. Sales to the Canadian food market is a significant part of our recent success, as we just saw on the tour, showing off our Osprey case packer that's handling cookies in a very delicate manner. However, to maintain our success and keep growing our Canadian sales, we need to have a dynamic trade policy to address the changes that have happened in the market. We need to see our lawmakers in Washington help expand our ability to penetrate this market with modern trade policies and pass the USMCA. The administration has kept its promise to negotiate a new North American trade deal, so it's time for Congress and the Senate to do its part, allowing us to focus on what we do best, make world-class machines. Boy, when I give our monthly talks, I don't have to pause for applause like that. We believe that we have only scratched the surface in Canada with our equipment offerings. We need Congress to help level the playing field. We will take care of the rest. Now I'd like to introduce Jay Timmons, the President and CEO of the National Association of Manufacturers, to share his thoughts on all this. Jay is a champion for manufacturers in America and has been a leading voice advocating for swift passage of the USMCA. Please join me in welcoming Jay Timmons.
Well, thank you so much, Craig, for those thoughtful comments, and thank you so much for opening your doors to all of us here today. And as you said, it is very much an honor to be joined today by Vice President Mike Pence on what is one of the most solemn and revered of days, 75 years since D-Day, the turning point bloody war that would save the world from a barbaric and totalitarian philosophy and regime. Powered by manufacturing in America, the arsenal of democracy preserved and ultimately strengthened those four pillars which make America exceptional: free enterprise, competitiveness, individual liberty, and equal opportunity. Now, I know there are a number of veterans and those who have served our country in the audience here today. Manufacturers salute you, and we thank you for your service. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Vice President Pence, it's great to have him here because he is a true champion for manufacturing in the United States, and also for the men and women who make things in America. He and President Trump and the entire Trump administration know that when manufacturing is strong, America is strong. Working with manufacturers, this administration delivered historic tax reform and regulatory certainty, which served as rocket fuel, as the president says, rocket fuel for the manufacturing industry, propelling the American economy forward in 2017 and 2018. Now, we need to get that next ingredient for our continued success implemented, the United States-Mexico-Canada Trade Agreement. For manufacturers, the USMCA includes best-in-class intellectual property rules. It sets new standards for innovation and the modern digital economy. It eliminates red tape at the border. It improves transparency, and it ensures that we can sell products duty-free and so much more. But for manufacturers, it's all about jobs. Trade with our North American allies supports more than 2 million jobs in manufacturing. You heard Craig talk about how important the North America market is for this business. That's true for small and medium-sized manufacturers across this state and across the country. In fact, as David Taylor, the president of the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association, will tell you, 1 in 4 Pennsylvania manufacturing firms export to our North American partners, and 80% of those, 80% are small and medium-sized businesses that support local economies all around the state. So when we talk about growing international trade, we're talking about something very, very local, strengthening our communities and supporting our families. That's why JLS, manufacturers across the United States, and the more than 12.8 million men and women who make things in America are calling on Congress to ratify the USMCA, and the sooner the better. You have 3 winners here who are going to help make that happen. This is a critical moment for the future of manufacturing in the United States. And if members of Congress work together in a bipartisan way, they can ensure a level playing field for manufacturers in America and help secure our prosperity for years to come. Now, our message is simple. If you support manufacturing, you must support the USMCA. So now it's time to get this landmark trade agreement across the finish line. And Craig, I want to make sure that we give you something. I understand that you share a special day with the Vice President, your birthday, which is tomorrow. So we want to make sure, manufacturers want to make sure that we give you a successful USMCA with a big bow tied around it. As the sign says right up there, you make it, and we want to help you all sell it there. So now I'd like to invite someone up to stage who is a great friend of manufacturing, and most importantly, the manufacturing workers of America. Someone who has worked tirelessly with businesses large and small to promote programs to upskill American workers and help them future-proof their careers. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Secretary of Labor, Alex Acosta.
Jay, thank you so much for those words. Let me say it's an honor to be here in central Pennsylvania with all of you on D-Day. You know, as we're driving in, it struck me we're surrounded by monuments to American sacrifice, whether Gettysburg, whether 9/11, and what better place to honor those who sacrificed for our freedom so that we could be here today in this land of liberty. And so, to all the veterans, to all the families of those individuals who sacrificed on D-Day, I want to first say thank you, thank you, thank you. As Secretary of Labor, I have the high honor of traveling the nation and visiting facilities like this. And something that becomes very apparent is that manufacturing today is very different than manufacturing as many people envision it. Manufacturing is high-tech. Manufacturing is complex. Manufacturing pays good, family-sustaining wages. And we need more of that in America. Over the last 2 years, our economy has thrived. Our economy has created 5.4 million new jobs. Our unemployment rate has fallen below 4% for 14 months. Unemployment is quite literally lower than it's been in the lifetime of most Americans who are alive today. And this doesn't just happen. This is brought about by leadership and by vision and by hard work. It's brought about by individuals throughout this country that are saying, we want to create a better America. And it's brought about by the vision of our president, who came into office and said, we're going to move this economy. And he began with tax cuts. And if he were here, he would say, people said tax reform. It's not about tax reform. It is about tax cuts, cuts, and cuts. And he calls it the Tax Cut, Cut, Cut Act. And you saw the economy take off. And then he directed all of us on the cabinet to look at regulations and see what is not needed, what is unnecessary red tape, and to remove it. And at the Department of Labor alone, we removed more than $3 billion in regulations. And since joining government, I have found that people talk in the billions, not thousands, but billions. And so sometimes it's hard to understand what $3 billion in regulatory impacts means. How about this? 40 million paperwork hours removed from the economy. Spread over all the businesses in the nation, that is less paperwork and more time and effort building businesses that lead to jobs. And to keep this economy moving, we need one more thing now. We need USMCA. You heard Jay Timmons say, if you support manufacturing, you support USMCA. We just had a tour of this facility, and I asked, how many of these machines, how much of this equipment is exported within North America? And it's 2 million and counting. And more could be exported. And that means more jobs for the people here of central Pennsylvania. And that multiplied over an economy, multiplied over every small business, means more jobs and more growth. The thing about this trade deal is it is a more fair deal. It levels the playing field. For the first time, it has a labor provision. And so if you hear it doesn't enforce labor rights, that's just wrong, because NAFTA was silent on labor. And USMCA actually has a labor provision to make sure that labor rights are respected in all the nations. And so whether you look at contents, whether you look at labor rights, whether you look at just about every issue, this is a great agreement. We need it. It's now my pleasure to introduce someone that I've had the pleasure of traveling with. He's a leader. He stands right next to the president, shoulder to shoulder. He has one of the great lines of any biography, quote, his mom and dad built everything that matters, a family, a business, and a good name. And that sounds very much like him. And that sounds very much like the people of central Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of the United States, the the Honorable Mike Pence.
Well, hello, Pennsylvania. It is great to be back in the Keystone State. Great to be here with some outstanding leaders in public and private life who have been partnering with this administration and serving in this administration and supporting this administration every step of the way. Join me in thanking Secretary Acosta for those great words and his great leadership on behalf of working men and women in this country. Jay Timmons, who leads the Manufacturers Association of America, helped bring this together today, as well as the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Thanks so much for the warm hospitality. We appreciate you very much. David Taylor. And three great congressmen who've been there every step of the way, moving an agenda that's got Pennsylvania growing again, got America growing again. Congressman Smucker, Congressman Muser, and your very own Congressman Scott Perry. Thanks for being here, man. These are strong conservative voices for Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C. And let me bring greetings from another friend of mine. I talked to him on the phone on the way here, and when I told him I was in the Keystone State, I think he sounded just a little bit jealous. So let me bring greetings from a man who loves the state of Pennsylvania and who's been fighting every day to get Pennsylvania growing again. I bring greetings from the 45th President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump. Before I begin, let me do as others have done at this podium and recognize that this is truly a momentous day. June the 6th, 75 years ago, hundreds of thousands of American forces crossed the English Channel and stormed the beaches of Normandy and won a victory over tyranny and a victory for freedom, not just for that continent, but for the world. And we owe them a debt we can never fully repay. The President spoke today on the shores of Normandy, surrounded by veterans, and he spoke of their stories in remarks that resonated not just across this country, but around the world. And it was my great privilege earlier today as well to go to Bedford, Virginia. Now, Bedford, Virginia is a small town in the state of Virginia, population of about 5,000. But it's also home to the National D-Day Memorial, because that was a town that on this day 75 years ago lost more of their sons in combat per capita than any other community in America. Today we remembered those that history records as the Bedford Boys. We honored them and the thousands of Americans who lie in repose to this day in France. But we also honored all of those who served and came home to build families, to build great businesses, to build great communities. And let me honor one of them who's actually with us today. He was a member of the 84th Infantry Division. He landed on Omaha Beach in September of 1944, and just a few months later, he fought in the Battle of the Bulge. He just happens to be the father-in-law of the president of this company, but please join me and get on your feet if you can in recognizing Henry Kirkpatrick for being a part of the greatest generation and for all he and his generation has done for freedom. Thank you, Henry. Thank you for your service. And as I said today, in that little town of Bedford, to all of those who serve here and in glory, thank you for our freedom. But speaking of this family, I know you already heard that Craig and I share something in common. I'm going to turn 60 years old tomorrow, surrounded by my wife and kids. He is 1 year ahead of me. So let me just say, Craig, happy birthday. Great timing to be with you today. You know, it's such an honor for me to serve as your vice president alongside a president who gets up every day to keep the promises that he made to the people of Pennsylvania. I mean, from our very first day in office, President Trump promised that we were going to start getting this economy growing, that we were going to hire and grow in America, that we were going to raise wages for American workers, we were going to rebuild our economies in our cities, in our towns, because as he loves to say, when we grow American manufacturing, we not only grow our jobs and wages, we grow the American spirit, and President Donald Trump has been delivering every single day. I mean, the truth is, with the strong support of conservatives in Congress in just over 2 years, it's remarkable to think that all we were able to do. We rolled back more federal regulations than any administration in American history. We unleashed American energy. And this president actually signed the largest tax cuts and tax reform in American history. And the results have just been remarkable. I mean, since Election Day, businesses just like this one, large and small, all across America, have created 5.8 million new jobs, including 150,000 jobs right here in the state of Pennsylvania. That's results. The unemployment rate, as the Secretary just said, has hit nearly a 50-year low, and the unemployment rate for African Americans and Hispanic Americans has hit the lowest levels ever recorded. The American dream is coming back for every American. It's true. And for working Americans, the forgotten men and women of this country, I've also got good news. Wages are rising at the fastest pace in nearly 10 years, and they're rising most rapidly among blue-collar, hardworking Americans and families. The truth is, forgotten men and women of America are forgotten no more. It's amazing to think, when you think about manufacturing and great companies like JLS, that the last administration actually saw this country lose 200,000 manufacturing jobs like you've got right here. In fact, the last president said we'd never get those jobs back. You remember? It was in the summer of 2016. President Obama said, when he was asked about manufacturing jobs, he said, quote, "What magic wand do you have?" Like it'd take a magic wand to bring manufacturing back in America. Well, we didn't need a magic wand. We just needed President Donald Trump in the White House. It's true. I mean, here are the numbers. Since Election Day in 2016, manufacturing companies across this country have created nearly 500,000 good-paying manufacturing jobs, including 6,000 jobs right here in the Keystone State. Manufacturing is roaring back. In fact, these guys at the National Association of Manufacturers found that 2018 was the best year for manufacturing job creation in more than 20 years. Manufacturing is rolling all across this country. And really, it's thanks to the policies that you supported, the leadership of this president and the leadership these members of Congress have been able to support. But we also understand that the people that are making this economy go and grow are all of you. And it's thanks to people like you and the companies like JLS Automation that this economy and American manufacturing is rallying all across this country. It's amazing to think since 1955 you've been a leader in customized packaging solutions, and I've heard about the job growth in this company, and I even heard there's some job openings at this company even as we speak. In fact, the truth is it's your character, your work ethic, your integrity that drives this company and is driving manufacturing all across the country. There's all kinds of stories of hardworking Americans who are making a difference in this room. Like a service technician here at JLS I heard about. I'm told they're a model employee, professional, reliable. They're a leader in the workplace who always goes the extra mile for coworkers. But he doesn't just give of himself here at work. He also stepped forward to serve our country in the uniform of the United States, including last year when he deployed to the Middle East with his unit of Army National Guard. Would you all join me in showing your appreciation for Johan Valles? Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your service to America. You want to say a word? Thanks, Johan. Great job. Great job. We're also joined by a member of the JLS family who's a little new to the company, but isn't new to this facility. She worked for the last company to operate here before JLS, where she developed a reputation for hard work, a friendly smile, and a great sense of humor. So when JLS moved in, I'm told they just had to bring her on board. And in the year that she's been here, she's exceeded all expectations of the team. Today she plays a vital role keeping this impressive shop organized and running smoothly. So would you all give a big round of applause to Lexi Heitzman for the job she's doing here, keeping this company rolling. You want to say a word? Johan and Lexi are emblematic, really, of all of you in this room. And I just couldn't resist telling their story, because what the President and I understand is it's the American people working in manufacturing that are really driving this American comeback in manufacturing. You're renewing manufacturing all across this country as you live out the American dream. So thanks for being who you are. Thanks for bringing your integrity, your work ethic, your expertise to design and to build in a place like this. Thanks for driving JLS and driving keep the American economy rolling. President Trump and I know, in addition to rolling back red tape, cutting taxes, expanding and unleashing American energy, that we got to level the playing field for American workers by forging trade deals that put America first. One-sided trading deal where countries were able to manufacture goods or grow products, ship them into the United States with very few limitations. But we face tremendous barriers and tariffs as we export to their country. The truth is we've made progress, but we've got a lot more work to do. That's why I came to Pennsylvania to send one message and one message only today. The time has come for the Congress of the United States to pass the largest trade deal in American history. The time has come for Congress to pass the USMCA. Mexico, Canada agreement. You've already heard from this podium the difference that it's going to make here, not only in manufacturing, but in industries all across this economy and in agriculture, great pillars of the American economy. The truth is, we all remember NAFTA, living under it for a long time. It was adopted back in the 1990s. I probably don't have to tell you out here in Pennsylvania what we learned the hard way in Indiana, the impact that NAFTA had on communities. Over in the Hoosier State, we saw almost entire communities shuttered as factories closed and moved south of the border. I'll never forget, just a few days after Election Day 2016, we heard of a company that had been in Indiana for almost 100 years that announced that they were closing their doors for no particular reason, just moving south of the border to Mexico. Well, men and women, I'll make you a promise. When Congress passes the USMCA, those days are over. I'm glad you heard that real clear, because we mean it. Truth is, the USMCA is going to impact, we believe, more than 2 million American manufacturing jobs, jobs that depend on exports to Canada and Mexico, including more than 42,000 jobs right here in the Keystone State. I mean, this great state already exports more than $14 billion in goods, services to Canada and Mexico, and under the USMCA, that's only going to grow, which is going to create even more jobs, more opportunity, and more prosperity right here in Pennsylvania. It's absolutely essential we get the USMCA passed by the Congress, and passed by the Congress this summer. It'll finally give American workers and farmers a level playing field that we need to be able to compete and win. And I really do like it. I like what Craig Sauser said just a few minutes ago. He said, you give us a level playing field and we'll do the rest. JLS and American manufacturing know how to win. I mean, we're not going to let outdated trade deals hurt American farmers or manufacturers anymore, not under this president, not under this administration. We're not going to let them undermine good-paying jobs that really build our middle class and are rebuilding middle class in communities like this all across the country. And the truth is, as the president loves to say, we get this thing done, we keep on the heading that we're on right now, American workers are going to win like never before. But we got to get it done. The clock is ticking. It's time. Now, I know there's other issues that we have to deal with. I'm sure you're all aware here in Pennsylvania that we have a crisis on our southern border. And the time has come for Congress to act and stand with this president to end the crisis of illegal immigration. Good. I mean, last month, you may have heard the news yesterday, more than 144,000 people crossed our southern border illegally. The president took action late last week to demand that Mexico step up as well. That Mexico step up to stem the tide of illegal immigration. I'm proud to report to you that our administration began talks yesterday with Mexico, and they're continuing through today. But we've made it very clear to our neighbors to the south. Mexico must do more to end the tide of illegal immigration that is besetting our southern border. As I said, the talks are ongoing. Progress is being made, but I promise you, President Trump and I are going to continue to stand strong until Mexico and the Congress take the action necessary to end this crisis and secure our border once and for all. Congress can take steps to close the loopholes that are driving this crisis of illegal immigration, and Congress should do just that. And Congress should also approve the USMCA. We can fix our border, we can end this crisis, and we can pass a trade deal that'll keep America growing like never before. We can do it all. And there's no reason why Congress can't do both. In fact, they've got to do both. Bottom line, the President and I have done our jobs. Now it's time for Congress to do their job and pass the USMCA. But we're going to take our lead from all of you. You know, they call it the People's House. I served there for 12 years. Congress of the United States of America listens to the American people, so you're going to be the ones that make the difference. and people working in American manufacturing need to be heard. You know people not only all across this part of Pennsylvania, all over this state, but really all over the country. So I just encourage you. Tell the story of what the USMCA is going to mean for companies like this. Tell them how you heard from Craig and others. And say, I ran into Mike the other day. He was in Pennsylvania. And he seemed awful excited about the USMCA and said it's going to make it possible for our company to keep growing. Let your voice be heard, and we will get the USMCA done this year. Now, I'll tell you, you don't need to call Congressman Scott Perry, you don't need to call Congressman Lloyd Smucker, and you don't need to call Congressman Dan Muser, because they're standing strong for the USMCA. But I know each and every one of them would be grateful if you let your voice be heard. You know, send a letter to the editor of your local newspaper, call a local radio show, just talk about what this means. Because I got to tell you, when the American people send a clear message to Capitol Hill, Congress can get it done. So go out there and tell the story. Tell how this agreement will level the playing field. It'll remove the incentives in NAFTA that for years created a magnet for jobs to go to the south of our border. Make no mistake about it. Your voice will make a difference if you make your voice heard. So thanks for coming out today. And in the days and weeks that lie ahead, I want to promise you, President Trump and I are going to keep on fighting. We're going to keep fighting for all the policies that Pennsylvania voted to advance and that we've been advancing over the last 2 years. The policies that are reviving this economy and really making it possible for great companies like JLS to prosper and grow and continue to hire and expand. And I truly do believe if you let your voice be heard, that with your continued support, with the USMCA passed into law, with President Donald Trump in the White House, and with God's help, we're going to make America more prosperous than ever before. And I promise you, we will make America great again. Thanks, everybody. God bless you. God bless Pennsylvania. God bless America. It's great to be here.